I am the Duke of Deadfall. If you like medieval storytelling and NFTs, then for the next 20 minutes, your ass is mine. Hidden somewhere in this video is this picture. If you find it, you own this character. This is Diana, Sir Trent's wife from our previous story. Salutations to Sir Ross Brookman, who found the secret in our last story. I welcome you as a Knight of Deadfall. Make sure you are following me on Twitter for more surprises and secrets. Links in the description. Now that all that is out of the way, let's get to the epic. The tale of Cora the Brave, Sir Eric the Hammer, and Sir Guy the Handsome. Sir Guy and Sir Eric stood at the bow of the ship as they sailed into the docks of Norchester. Norchester, although an island, was almost as big as to be a country in its own right. The white buildings on the banks were blinding in the afternoon sun, the blinding rays concealing a city in crisis. The Norchester flags were flying high though, the emblem of a black sea serpent on blue. Ready to smash some zombie skulls, old chap? Guy asked Eric. Guy was a tall, handsome knight, and his blonde hair was flowing in the ocean breeze. Despite his refined looks, Sir Guy was extremely skilled with the blade. After this shite little voyage, I definitely have to smash something, Eric replied. He was visibly irritated, partly because he hated the ocean. He had lost his wife in a storm many years ago. Sir Eric was a knight as strong as a bull. He was known across the realm by the nickname, the Hammer of the Gods. His weapon of choice was an enormous hammer, and it had crushed many skulls and kneecaps in battles against the giants of Candaria. Both were in the king's personal bodyguard, and renowned knights of the realm, sent personally to aid Norchester in her time of need. They were also under express command of His Majesty to deliver the ship full of supplies and to make a detailed report on the direness of the zombie situation. The zombie plague, also known as ghoul sickness, had broken out in Norchester almost 3 months ago. A most terrible thing. According to the priests, it is a scourge summoned straight from hell by the invoking of dark blood magic. Neither of the knights had fought zombies before, but zombie scratches and bites were no match for a knight's armor. Fleshly turned zombies were strong, but a blade or hammer doesn't care how strong you are. It cuts through muscle and smashes a skull, regardless of strength. You only had to fear being swarmed, because a crowd of zombies could crush you, even in full armor. The zombie sickness can be devastating on a population of common folk without armor though. Armor is expensive, and a knight without his armor and his weapon would be just as vulnerable as a weak peasant. The ship was completely filled with grain, plus medical and other supplies, as a relief package from the crown to get help to Norchester in her time of need and sickness. As the ship docked, the knights could see that the streets and most of the docks were deserted. A group of soldiers and servants stood on the pier to welcome the knights and help unload the ship. "Welcome, sirs," shouted one of the soldiers. "We are here on the Duke of Norchester's orders to keep you safe and escort you to the castle. I am John Peter, Sheriff of Norchester. John Peter was a thick-built knight who reminded Eric of a wine barrel. He had a magnificent pitch-black mustache and a bush of long curly hair. "Very well, kind sir. Please take us to the Duke. Happy to see you have not been overrun by the dead," said Guy. "Hope you saved some zombies for us. First time I set foot in Norchester, I was hoping it would be on a tour or a holiday, not a skirmish with the dead. The men have been looking forward to you telling us some tales of your battles in Candaria. Very happy to have some kingsmen here. We have horses ready for you, sirs. On the double. The Duke is expecting you," the sheriff of Norchester boomed. As they made their way through the impressive city, they noticed that there wasn't a living soul on the street, except for soldiers. All the businesses and social activity had ceased. You could only see poor souls staring out of their windows here and there. "Where is everyone?" asked the Hammer. "There is a curfew in place. People are only allowed to leave their homes every second day for 1 hour at noon. That helps us stop the spread of the plague," replied the sheriff. "Did you have many zombie incidents?" Sir Guy asked. "Yes, we did. Duke Pierre wants to tell you the particulars himself." As they trotted through the streets, they saw a boy scurrying out of the way, trying to run from the horses and darting into an alley. Sir John Peter, the sheriff of Norchester, spurred his horse after the boy and was quickly upon him. He drew his sword and hit the boy hard with the flat of his blade over the boy's back. The boy went down with a shriek. "Please, sir, I was out getting medicine for my mother." "Do you know the rules, boy? Do you know you are not allowed to leave your house by the order of the Duke? There are zombies about." "My mother is sick, sir," the boy replied. "Give him 10 lashes and send him on his way," John Peter snapped. Sir Guy shook his head. 10 lashes was a very harsh punishment for a boy as small as this. He had seen grown men dying from 20 lashes. But in dire times as this, what could you do? Maybe the population had to be kept under the thumb for their own safety. They arrived at the castle and were taken deep inside the keep to meet the Duke. The king's knights couldn't help but notice how heavily guarded the castle was. There were groups of archers and men-at-arms everywhere, mostly well armored. There were even some giant mercenaries from Candaria. "A zombie horde will not get through here, that's for sure," said the Hammer. "The Duke has planned well. Norchester will be defended, whatever it takes," replied John Peter. The Duke of Norchester's court was as lavish as to rival that of the royal palace back in Panamore. Norchester was a very wealthy dukedom due to its natural resources. It had massive silver mines that supplied more than half of Panamore's silver. If Norchester fell to the zombie sickness, it would not just be a humanitarian tragedy, but economically, Panamore would suffer as well. They were taken through the court to the dining hall, where a massive feast was waiting for them. Duke Pierre was seated already. He was a handsome man in his 40s, with tan skin and a buck tooth. He was a likable man from first impressions. "Welcome to Norchester, my dear knights. You must be extremely tired and hungry. Let us eat first and converse, and you can go rest in your rooms after you had some sustenance for your bodies. How is my dear cousin, the king?" He is well, my lord, answered the hammer. He's very concerned about Norchester, and you are in his prayers every night. He hopes to hear good news soon, that this plague can be squashed, and Norchester can be prosperous and wealthy once more. The knights ate with Duke Pierre. A feast was served by many beautiful servant girls. One girl caught Sir Eric's eye. She had a smile that made his heart skip a beat, almost identical to his wife's smile that he had lost so many years ago at sea. She politely curtsied after filling their wine glasses. The Duke told them of several zombie encounters. It seemed that the Duke had been very hands-on in the zombie eradication patrols, as he called it. They had these patrols on the hour through the whole city and most of the dukedom. The Duke also explained that a very large force of mercenaries had been hired to help. You are very welcome here, my lords, but we have everything under control. I foresee that we will be rid of this plague before the season is over, and silver production will be back up and running. Please thank His Majesty the King for his generous help with the grain and medical supplies. If my lord agrees, we would like to accompany you on a zombie eradication patrol, and also inspect the silver mines on His Majesty's orders, said Sir Guy. The silver mines are extremely dangerous, my lords, with many undead roaming the tunnels. I would hope you change your mind. But please accompany me on a patrol at sunrise through the countryside, where I could guarantee your safety. We would have to insist on seeing the mines, my Lord Duke, said the hammer, on the express orders of His Majesty. We would also not shy away from the opportunity to kill some of the undead ourselves. The Duke rose from his chair. Very well, my lords. I will organize a patrol to the mines within the next 7 days. You gentlemen must rest. Sir John Peter will show you to your beds. Let's patrol the countryside at sunrise. That morning, before dawn, the king's knights were awakened by Sir John Peter. Time for the hunt. Let's go and kill some undead. There are reports of sightings near the city. They were a group of 50 mounted knights that rode out into the countryside of Norchester. The Duke asked the 2 king's knights to join him at the front of the hunting party with his bannermen. The royal flag of Norchester, the great sea serpent, rippled in the wind. The excitement was palpable. The troop of knights looked menacing with their full armor glistening in the orange rays of the dawn sun. They rode over beautiful green country before they found the first zombie. It was a horrible sight. It was a young male limping on a lush green hill. The zombie screamed when it saw the mounted knights. A terrible sound, like a wounded animal. It didn't run towards them, but instead it seemed to be frightened of the horses. It tried to limp away, but the knights came crashing like a wave from the deadfall ocean. The Duke, Lord Pierre, took its head clean off with one heavy swipe of his sword, and Sir Eric knocked the headless body 3 feet clean off the ground with a hammer's strike. Some servants came from behind to burn the zombie's body. The second zombie did not flee. It was a huge male that they found close to a cluster of trees. Its face was bloody, and it seemed to be carrying a tree stump as a weapon. Sir Guy kicked his horse to the front of the hunt. My turn, he shouted, with his blade already drawn. The zombie howled unintelligible sounds and lifted the stump high above its head as Sir Guy's horse ran directly towards it. At the last moment, Sir Guy kicked his horse to the left. His body leaned to the right, out of the saddle, and cut the undead man from navel to nose, almost splitting half its body into two neat pieces. The tree stump fell uselessly behind the corpse. "Good strike, old chap," boomed Sir Eric. Sir Guy opened the visor on his blood-splashed helmet, a little short of breath but smiling. "I did not know the undead can wield weapons." "Oh, if you are intimidated by tree stumps and sticks, you can leave them to my hammer," Sir Eric said. "Your hammer is but a little more sophisticated than that zombie's stick. Maybe it is time to hang up the hammer, and we can call you the Stump of the Gods," replied Sir Guy, which was met with booming laughter from the hunting party. They did not find any more zombies that day, and returned to the castle in high spirits, exhilarated to have experienced some combat again. That night, as Eric, the Hammer of the Gods, lay down to sleep, he heard a soft knock and an urgent whisper outside his door. "My lord, please open up," he heard a woman's voice. Sir Eric got up and saw the servant girl who had caught his eye. She rushed inside his bedchamber. "What is it, girl?" the Hammer whispered. "My lord, we don't have a second to waste. I'm risking my life speaking to you. My name is Cora. I am a servant of Duke Pierre. Everything is not as it seems here." And that, lords and ladies, is the end of part 1. We will reconvene next week with part 2 of this story, and there will be a new hidden NFT to be won. Share this video with a friend, sub to my channel, and follow me on Twitter for more secrets and surprises, or face the consequences at your own risk. Done.